I wanted to start this video with a slideshow of photographs of the past 25 years. Now, if you don't know, March 4th signifies the 25 years me and Mr. Cinnamon have been together. Not married, just been together. I still think it is a significant anniversary to celebrate. It's a quarter of a century we've been together. It is more than double our lifespan. Well, not double, more than half our lifespan we've been together. We met when we were 20. We fell in love. We went through a lot of rocky hardships. And we always, through all of those things, all the bad things, the good things, all of the things that we've experienced, the hardships, the joys, the sorrows, the loss, we always clung to each other. And I think that's what makes our relationship so special and unique and deserves to be celebrated. You're looking at photographs from our past. You're looking at pictures of us and our travels. You're looking at photographs of us and our family that we've created, either biological family or otherwise, because you will see pictures of our nieces in here, because we had a huge hand in raising them. And they are our daughters, whether they both want to admit that or not. They have always been treated like our daughters. Mr. Cinnamon has always been a unique man in the fact that he stood up and took responsibility for us from day one. Financial responsibility, emotional responsibility. And by all of us, I mean all 4 kids and myself, and sometimes other members of my family he felt like he had to take care of and guard. And I grew up not thinking anyone would ever love me, because that's what I was told on a daily basis. And when I found him, I could not believe this man loved me as much as he did. But not only loved me, he loves my children endlessly. I should say our children, all 4 of them. He does everything for them, for us, for me. He sacrifices his own happiness sometimes, or his own well-being sometimes, just to put a smile on our face, especially mine. And I don't take 1 second of the past 25 years for granted. I am so lucky and blessed to have him as my life partner, as my best friend. And I'm so lucky that he gifted me with the 2 most magnificent people. My daughter is 19, and it's like I gave birth to my own best friend. She is an incredible human being. She's kind, she's loving, she's generous, she's everything I wish I could be. And my son is cut out of my butt cheek. He is so much his mother's child. He's got my attitude, my fight, well, he's got his daddy's intelligence, because he is a genius. But those are the 2 greatest gifts that my husband has given to me. And what you're looking at is a very, very small fraction of the photographs that I have, because I have hundreds of thousands of photographs on hard drives, because photography is a huge part of my life. And you will see that reflected here. I relate Mr. Cinnamon to Aladdin in a lot of ways, and I love the movie Aladdin because he came in and he's from this new planet. Like, California is its own planet. I'm not joking. I was this small-time Midwestern girl that lived in the ghetto her whole life and never thought I would go anywhere or do anything. And he came in and he said, I can show you the world, and off on our magic carpet we flew. And he has taken me so many places I never dreamed of ever witnessing or feeling the earth or listening to the dogs bark. So many magical places that I got to experience because of him, because of his hard work and his dedication and his fight for his family. And he's the love of my life. And I know, I said this to my sister on her wedding day. I said, there's going to be times in your marriage where it's hard, where it's so hard, and you just feel like, I cannot do this another day, and you want to walk away. And every marriage has that. But you got to fight for it. You got to remember what it feels like on your wedding day, like the love that you shared, the joy that you felt together. You got to fight for that. And that's what me and Mr. Cinnamon have strived for our entire relationship, is to just, no matter what happens, we have to lean on each other. We have to come back to each other. And we've had hard times. We absolutely had hard times. We fought infertility for years, as I'm looking at the picture of my son. My absolute miracle baby that should not have been born. Everything in the world was stopping me from being a mother. Miscarriages, infertility, tumors. But there he is. This next picture is really funny. It's us making fishy faces in front of Nemo. Oh, I just wanted to come on and wish him a happy anniversary. I will say that we met because I placed an ad on love@aol.com when I was all of 20 years old. I just wanted a companion. I wanted companionship, and he found me, and I had no photographs of myself. He had no idea what I looked like. And we talked on the phone a couple times, and on March 4th, he showed up at my house. I can still remember what he was wearing. He was wearing a blue polo with white stripes across the chest, which I do have photos of him because he had that shirt for years until he outgrew it. And I had on a sweater, and my hair was down probably to my waist. It was very long. And I told Mr. Cinnamon, I was like, I don't kiss on the first date. And he was getting ready to leave. And he started off the porch. And as he walked away, I said, if you would have tried, I wouldn't have turned my head. And he ran back up on the porch and he kissed me. And then years later, that country song came out, like, You Should Have Kissed Me. And it's very much, it's so much telling the story of our first kiss. And then the second time Mr. Cinnamon kissed me, he came over, and it was like a couple days later, he came over. He didn't have a car, so he had to be dropped off. And we went for a walk around the corner. And just out of the blue, he grabbed me and he kissed me. And I swear that man, he made my knees just buckle. He kissed me with such an intensity, my knees actually buckled. And I was like, whoa. And it was then that I knew I was in trouble. I knew this man ain't going nowhere. He's mine. I don't care. Like, he is mine. And now we're 45 years old. We have seen a lot of health issues, mostly with me. We have seen the loss of all the important people above us in the family. So here we are now. We have become the matriarch and the patriarch of the family. We are the head because everyone else is gone. And it's a strange thing because we still look to Grandma and Grandpa as that's what we want out of our marriage. That is who we want to aim our lives after, as Grandma and Grandpa, because they made it all the way to the end, to the jumping off point. And yeah, they had the same story. Like, nothing that they did should have equaled what happened with them. Like, they did everything in the wrong order. They did everything wrong. And what happened, how their story started, should not have finished as beautifully as it did. And I remember talking to Grandma about that one day, and she looked at me, and she saw me and she saw her and Grandpa in me and Mr. Cinnamon. She saw that in us. And I'm so grateful that she saw that, because I see it. I see the beauty and the commitment, the lifetime commitment that we have. And I see what an amazing, beautiful life we have had despite all of the tribulations we have had to fight through. It is so weird looking back on some of these pictures because, wow, was I skinny. He was a lot smaller too. It's really nice to look back and look at the memories and just remember. And if I put all of my pictures in here, we'd be here for the rest of our lives watching pictures. But it's really neat to see. And I'm going to tell you real honestly, most of my pictures are my kids because I love them fiercely and endlessly. And look at that baby girl. She's 19. My mom always said, don't blink. And I never understood what that meant growing up. She said, don't blink. It'll all be over. And she meant that You blink, decades pass. Your kids are grown. Like, you only have 18 years with them where they're yours entirely. And it goes by in the blink of an eye. 25 years, doesn't feel like it. In the blink of an eye, it has passed us. Quarter of a century of memories, of love, of joy, of sorrow. Look how young we were. So young and stupid. So young and naive. Didn't know what we were doing in life. Didn't have a clue. Cue Ponyo. Ponyo. Alright, I'm gonna end the talking. I'm gonna end the talking part because Ponyo is being a butt. Thank you for watching my collage. Alright, so Ponyo's still barking. Just wanted to come on and talk a little more. I wanted to do this video because 25 years is a big deal, but I also wanted to do this video so that in the future, like, my kids can come back and have a slideshow to look at. Because I think I learned after my parents died, and I think I learned after Grandpa died specifically, like, why are we waiting till somebody's dead to memorialize them? Why are we waiting till somebody's gone to say, look at all these amazing memories that I have of that person, and I wanted to share that. I wanted to do this not just for entertainment purposes. I wanted to do this for my husband. I hope that he watches. I don't know that he will. He's got a lot going on in his plate right now, but I know that he will watch it one day. And I want in the future, because I know my kids won't even, they don't follow me on YouTube. I want in the future them to come back to this video and go, wow, and cry. My parents really did love each other. Because you know when you're running through your everyday life, and I'm totally like crying, but I'm not crying like sad, or I'm crying because the emotions, the overwhelming emotions of looking at those pictures and those beautiful memories. How blessed am I? How blessed am I? I want them to see, because, you know, you run through everyday life, and you know when you've been married a long time, like, you tend to forget about, like, you get comfortable. You get comfortable in life, and sometimes you get so comfortable you stop looking at your husband, or you stop looking at your wife, because you see them all the time. So it's not like when you get a new haircut and it takes your husband half an hour to see your face that you actually got a haircut. Speaking from personal experience. And you get so stuck in the humdrum everyday, day-to-day life, work, school, kids, household chores, getting ready for this, getting ready for that. We get so stuck in the humdrum that we forget to just acknowledge the other person, to appreciate the other person, to stop and say, hey, I really love you. Like, you're kind of a cool person. I'm glad I chose this life with you. I try to do that. I try to do that as often as I can. I don't wait for holidays. He doesn't wait for holidays. We try to stop and just acknowledge the other person and say, hey, like, I'm really glad you're here. And yeah, my kids, it's just mom and dad, you know. The kids don't go, oh, my mom and dad. I think when you're older and you look back, you're like, God, my parents really loved each other. That was, like, really cool that they stuck it out through all that. But when they're kids, they're like, oh, it's just mom and dad, like, whatever. I know, because I was there, and I didn't realize what my mom and dad had until they were already divorcing, because they did have something special, but addiction pulled them apart. Or else they probably would have had a beautiful end to their story too, but the addiction killed their marriage. And you look at grandma and grandpa, and I think everyone in the family knew what Grandma and Grandpa had was special. It was meaningful. It was something you idolized and looked up to, and you just wanted to be like them. But Grandma and Grandpa would have told you, do it different, like do it better. And I think that's kind of where me and Mr. Cinnamon are. Do it better, do it different. Yeah, it worked, but every reason that it shouldn't have worked, you know. And so I just wanted to come on and share the story. So I'm going to go a little more into detail how we met, because I have been asked how we met, and it's really silly. Like, I did put up an ad on loveataol.com, which turned into match.com, in case you didn't know. And this was in February of 2000. And so it was back when you had to get the CD and put it in the computer to get the free trial of AOL, and then when you try to cancel, they're like, we'll give you another free month, and so on and so forth. And that's where I was, because I couldn't afford internet. So every month I put in a free disc, and I kept calling like, oh no, you can have it for another month. And I think he was doing the same thing. And then there was another internet provider that came out shortly after that, and they net zero, and it was only free internet for everyone. And it was a crappy internet, but it was free for everyone, and we had that for a long time. But he answered my ad, and I didn't have a way to put a picture on the internet, because back then you had to scan a photo, and there wasn't digital photographs. There wasn't digital cameras readily available. Scarlett is being a troublemaker barking today, but we're just going to try to talk over her. And he answered my ad, and I had several people answer my ad. I had met a couple people already on the internet. He had a couple of girls on the side I didn't know, because Mr. Simon, I don't know, I know it's gonna be hard for you, but he was a tramp. When I met him, he was a tramp. Okay, he was trying to skirt all over town, and he was new to Michigan. He was just trying to meet females mostly, but because okay, rewind a little bit. Mr. Cinnamon's from California. He grew up in Oxnard, California. He lived there until he was just about 20. And then he came to visit Michigan, because we're calling them homies, because that's what they were called. They were the homies. They were intertwined, and they were bad boys. Okay, they were the homies. So homie number one moved here, knocked up a stripper, had to marry her because of his religious convictions. Homies 2 and 3 were brothers. They moved here. They both ended up with Michigan girls. I mean, there was like, at one point, there was like 4, 5, 6 of them that had moved to California, or from California to Michigan, in the Metro Detroit area, and they'd met all these Michigan girls. Because, like, I don't know if you know this, but Midwest girls are really impressed by California boys, because it's like a different planet. You know, they're a different breed of people out there, okay? Specifically the homies, okay? Compared to what we grew up in, that was what? They spoke a different language even. It's really funny. So, when I met Mr. Cinnamon, there was a lot of new people that entered into my very sheltered life, and I got exposed to a whole new world of, they were partying, and they were, you know, doing stupid stuff, and we were all 20. You know, we were all around 20, 22 years old, somewhere in that range, and we were all stupid, and we were all doing things, you know. And so Mr. Cinnamon was very exciting to me. He was like, what? He was the bad boy, but with a really good heart. And that's sexy. You get a bad boy who is like dangerous, but like so sweet. Yeah, that was Mr. Cinnamon. Oh, little did I know. Little did I know. We started talking at the end of February, and we agreed to meet. Actually, we agreed to meet March 3rd. And he did a no-show on me. He just did not show up. And it was a beautiful spring day. It was warm out. I spent the day outside in the yard waiting for him to come, and he never did. And it was me and my little sister, and we were just out there hanging out, having a good time, being silly, being teenagers, because we were. I mean, I was 20, but she was, what, 17? We were just outside playing like kids should play. And he never showed up. I'm like, whatever. So the next day he called and he's like, I'm so sorry I couldn't get a ride. And I'm like, well, why didn't you at least call me and let me know you weren't coming? I was irritated with him. And we'd only been talking for a very short time. So there wasn't like huge expectations, but I kind of liked him, you know. And he showed up, and he showed up in the evening. So the sun had already went down because it was, I mean, the sun set at like 5. Maybe even sooner than that. And he showed up, he got dropped off from one of the homies, homie number 1. And he knocked at the door, and when I opened the door, my mom had these security lights on the front porch because we live in a really bad neighborhood. And one of them shined towards the front door so that it lit up the whole porch. And I kid you not, when I opened the door, the light was shining at the back of his head, and it looked like he had a halo on. And I swear to God, I fell in love with him the second I laid eyes on him. I just knew something in me was like, that's your soulmate. That is your person. That's your other half. He did not feel that way right off the bat because, like I said, he was skirting around all over town. He didn't realize how magnificent I was at first sight. I had to talk him into it. I was like, listen, I'm fantastic, okay? We talked on the porch for a couple hours, and I already told you the story about our first kiss. And then we were really like talking all the time. He called me. He worked at the grocery store. So he worked at Farmer Jack, and he would call me every chance he got. Sometimes 4 or 5 times a day from the payphone. And it just seemed like he was completely obsessed with me. And then after a month, he just ghosted me and he was gone. And I'm like, I was completely devastated and heartbroken. Just, he ghosted me for a whole month. And it was right at the point where I'm like, I need to get out of this house. I'm tired of waiting around by the phone for him. It was that day that I decided I'm not doing this. I'm going to go do what I got to do, is when he started calling again. He was this close to losing me. And he was stupid. He didn't realize what he had. And it was soon after that. I think he really started to realize, like, hey, this girl's different. And he got his own apartment in like July, I think. So this was March to July. He got his own apartment. And I was over there so frequently that by August I just decided to move in. Well, we decided for me to move in. So from March to August, March, April, May, June, July, August, 5 months we knew each other and we were living together. It didn't make any sense. And like I said, our story, we did everything backwards. And that first year living together was really hard. We fought a lot. It was very like filled with passion because it was like we loved so intensely and we fought just as intensely. And that first year, because we both had trauma from our past that we had not even recognized as trauma. It's just how we grew up, you know? And so we had to overcome so much to be able to just communicate, because we were not good at that at all. And fast forward, we got engaged. Trying to think, 2002. So 2 years later, we got engaged. I still have the rose. He, to ask me to propose to me, he came home from work and I should say this, the first year we did not have a car. We lived in a real crappy apartment. When we moved into the apartment, I brought a pillow and a blanket, and that's all we had. That's all we had. And some clothes. And by some clothes, I mean very, very few clothes. That's how we started. And when he got his first paycheck after we moved into the apartment, we went to Family Dollar and we bought a fork and a little soup pot so that we could eat ramen. And we went shopping at Aldi's and got a few groceries. And we built up from there. Like, we literally had nothing for a long time. He rode the bus to work every day. He had to walk to the bus stop in 3 feet of snow, stand in 3 feet of snow and wait for the bus to come and hope that it came on time because the roads were so bad. And things don't get canceled in Michigan when it snows. Like, you still have to go about your day. You still have to go to work. Like, nothing, school is still in. And hopefully the bus makes it. And when we got engaged, and it was February 14th, 2002. Yeah, 2002. And he went to a florist. By then we had a car. We had a very crappy car. We had a really old 90-something, I think it was a 91 Lincoln Continental that he got for $500 off of a guy. The exhaust system was shot. They had to replace the air struts in the back. So like the shocks, but it was air struts. They had to do so much work on the car. It was just, and by they, I mean Mr. Cinnamon and my dad mostly. So we had a real crappy car. He went to the florist and he said, I want to do this. This is how I want to propose. And they were so excited. They helped him and they were like, do you have the ring? And he's all, I do. They're like, do you want us to do it for you? We could put it in the bouquet. He's all, no, because he's not real trusted. You know, we grew up in the ghetto. Like, no, we're not going to trust you with a ring. And it was a diamond. And what he did is he printed a little tiny strip of paper that I still have, and it says, will you marry me? And he tied it and taped it to the engagement ring and stuck it in a rose in the center of the bouquet. And the rose in the center of the bouquet was pink and all the rest of the roses were red. Or maybe that was vice versa. I think the outer ones were pink and the inner one was red. I still have a pink rose and a red rose that I smashed and dried out, and they're in a scrapbook upstairs in my closet. And the paper was hanging out of the rose, and I almost ruined it because it was in this beautiful glass vase, and he brought this beautiful thing home, and he had a card, and he was all ready for everything to go the way he planned it. And I thought a piece of paper had fallen on the rose, and I went to go grab it to get it off, and he's like, don't touch that! And I was like, okay. So I put the roses on the dining room table. And he's all, read the card. And so I read the card. I still have the card too. And he wrote such beautiful words about loving me and wanting to spend his life with me and all this stuff. And he's all, okay, now pull the paper out of the rose. And this is in the card. Now pull the paper out of the rose. And I pulled the paper out of the rose, and there's a diamond ring just hanging on this piece of paper. And the piece of paper said, will you marry me? And of course, he asked my dad's permission for my hand beforehand, because I told him that was really important. I'm really old-fashioned with a lot of things. And so my mom and dad already knew. And I knew something was up because he was acting weird, you know. And I was scared. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do, you know. But I put the ring on my finger. And he's all, let's go get some Chinese food. So we went to my favorite Chinese food, which does not exist anymore, and got almond chicken and egg rolls, because back then I was sick all the time, didn't know why. I had a gluten allergy. And on the drive home, he called the radio station and announced that, and he said my full name. So everybody got to hear that I was engaged. And then we went up to the bowling alley because my dad was bowling. And we showed my dad the ring, and I was like, we're getting married. And I was all excited. My dad and his friends were like, yeah, cool, or whatever. And then we went to my mom, and we showed my mom. And then we went home. I don't remember where we ate the almond chicken at. I feel like we ate cold almond chicken, which is fine because I don't care about that. I loved cold almond chicken. It was my favorite. I loved it left over. And then it was a couple months later, I ran into my high school best friend. Her name was Tara. And I ran into her, and I was like, I'm engaged. She's all, I was driving down the freeway and I was listening to the radio. I know you're engaged. She said she almost got in a car accident because she almost swerved off the road because she started crying. I'm not friends with her anymore for a lot of reasons. She liked stupid people in her life, and it's a long story, but she was my very, very best friend for a long time, and she's one of the people that saw me for who I really am and accepted that. And I tried to do the same with her. And she was so happy for me. And, yeah, fast forward. Well, actually, before we got married, in between the engagement and the wedding, I had a miscarriage. I had my first miscarriage. So we lost a baby. I named her Charlie Renee. And then Juliana was born in 2003. No, 2005. We were married in 2003. Juju was born in 2005. And it's been a amazing roller coaster ride since then. She was very much our world for a while. It was the three of us, and we were absolutely inseparable. If you saw one, you saw all three of us together. She was the love of our lives. Like, everything revolved around her. And Mr. Cinnamon was going to college at the time. He was trying to get his bachelor's degree. And we purchased our first house when I was 9 months pregnant, and the house was we didn't get a house inspection. It just sunk us, like, financially it sunk us. And we're all of, I don't know, 27 years old, having to file bankruptcy because the house just it killed us financially. And we struggled for a lot of years. And while all this is happening, I'm a new mom. Mr. Cinnamon is going to school full-time, and he had 2 full-time jobs. He was working 80 to 85 hours a week and going to school full-time. He barely slept just so that I could take care of our daughter, so that we had a roof over our head, that we could pay the bills, we had food on the table, and then we were taken care of. Yes, we were dirt poor, but especially because the house was just dragging us down so hard. And it was hard because, like, we achieved something our parents couldn't achieve. We purchased a house, and then we filed bankruptcy a couple years later. And it felt like such a failure to both of us, but it was such a blessing to get rid of the house. And I feel bad for whoever bought it after us from the bank, because the whole plumbing system under the house to the main drain needed to be replaced. Like, it was disintegrating under the house. And the electricity, like the garbage disposal switch behind the sink, would electrocute me frequently. So there was just a lot wrong with that house. And the neighbors were the worst neighbors, way worse than we lived here. Which is saying a lot. We've had a lot of, like, everywhere we live, there's just been one neighbor that's just been crazy. That's why I want to live away from neighbors, you know? And then when Juju was 3, that's when the girls, my nieces, came to live with us for the first time. And it was a strange situation because Mr. Cinnamon did not even hesitate to take them in. Not for a second. It was his idea, as a matter of fact. He's like, pack their bags, they're coming. It was not even a second thought. And we were not that well off financially, and it was not even a question to him that he would do whatever he could to take care of them. And they were with us for almost a year that time. And then my sister took them back, took off with them. And fast forward a little bit down the future, we ended up moving here, and Juju was going into 1st grade when we moved here. And it was the thing that we needed to turn our lives around so that we were better off financially. We were more stable. We were away from a lot of the drama that came with my family and the pain that came with my family. And it was just the 3 of us. And that year moving here was so hard because I was so alone and so isolated. And Mr. Cinnamon was working in DC, so he was gone from sometimes 4 a.m. till 6 p.m. and then he would come home, eat dinner, and go to sleep. And I was just so alone, and I just felt like I can't do this. Like, I'm trying to support him. I'm trying to make sure his dreams come true. I can't do this. And then he got moved closer to home. With his job, there was an opening for a seat closer to home. And it really started to get better after that. And then the girls we were only in this house a month. And the girls needed to come live with us again. Mr. Cinnamon's home. He's going to buy stuff to repair things on the house. And again, it was not even a second thought on his behalf to take in children that were not biologically related to him at all. Like, it didn't matter. They were ours. And they were here for years. And they were ours. They were absolutely our daughters. I did everything with them the way that I did with Juju. Like, it was the 3 girls for a while, and then the miracle of Lucas came along, and then we went from 1 child to 4 in the matter of a little over a year. We had 4 kids from 1 to 4. Huge shift in dynamic, and that was hard. It was hard mostly on me because, once again, everything in the house fell onto my shoulders. The schooling, the cooking, the cleaning, the taking care of everyone. It was all on my shoulders. I was the house manager, and it was difficult. And Mr. Cinnamon was the financier. Like, he was working, he was paying all the bills, and everybody had everything taken care of. And every year from the time the 2 youngest girls were 3, because my niece is the same age as Juju. From the time they were 3, every year since then, until they didn't want to go anymore, he took them to a daddy-daughter ball, all 3 of them, every year until they just didn't want to go anymore. Because they were his. They were his little girl. And he still, to this day, like, they're my kids. They're my girls. They're my daughters. You will always be my little girl, no matter what. And, flash forward to today, 2025. We lived through the pandemic together, which is crazy because I need alone time because I get overstimulated very easily. And I'm going to tell you that the pandemic with our marriage and our family was the happiest time of my life because we were all together all the time. And while the nieces were not living with us during the period before the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, they were very isolated and they were in a very bad household again. And I was like, you're coming to my house. And they stayed here for weeks on end. And just so that they were someplace safe and comfortable. And we absolutely did not quarantine inside the house. We knew that there was enough preserved land that we could go outside of the house and breathe fresh air and be in public without experiencing other people. So we did that a lot, even though we weren't supposed to. We snuck out a lot. Because it's just not healthy to be in the house. But the 6 of us, we just were together and we were happy, and we played video games, we played card games, we did puzzles. I wish I had discovered Legos back then because that would have been really fun, but I think that grew us together more closely as a family because a lot of people's marriage did not survive the pandemic. Like, it was too hard being stuck together like that. And you start to realize how you really feel about people, you know, when you're stuck quarantined with them. And for us, it just drew us closer together. And it's really a miraculous thing because I saw a lot of people get divorced after that. A lot of people who were married as long as me and Mr. Cinnamon had been together, they had to walk away because they just couldn't stand their partner after the quarantine. But has life been perfect? No. There has been so much stuff that we've had to work through and fight for. And there has absolutely been times where we both have wanted to walk away. I'm not gonna lie. I don't sugarcoat it. I ain't a candy man. But we always come back and say, hey, like, I don't want this. We need to fight for us. And I'm very grateful for that. I grew up not feeling like I deserved anyone to love me or even want to be around me. And to find somebody who still is obsessed with me and just thinks I'm the prettiest thing ever and just finds value in all of my idiosyncrasies who loves me when I can't love me, that's magical. And so, I'm not trying to be braggy, but I have the best husband in the world, and he absolutely supports my yarn habit. At least my yarn addiction is not detrimental to my health, right? And I don't have a yarn addiction that is detrimental to our finances either, because I very strictly budget how much I spend. I don't spend extra money. I don't blow his money. But he absolutely spoils me with yarn. And that I'm also very, very grateful for, because if it wasn't for him, there would be no Cinnamon Stitches. He has encouraged me and pushed me every step of the way. So, thank you, Mr. Cinnamon. And thank you for listening to this video. Thank you for listening. See you in the next one. Bye, guys.